Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Carrow Road, Norwich City against Sunderland, or the Friendship Trophy final, if you prefer to have it that way. We have seen the trophy. It's been doing the rounds in the press room before this one, and we will, of course, bring you the team news for this clash, which is a midday kickoff, unless you've been caught out by that. Today, there it is. There is the Friendship Trophy, and I have the team news for you here. Nunez starts for Norwich City this afternoon, and Josh Sargent returns to the bench. So Norwich City line up like this: Angus Gunn in goal, Aarons, Hanley, Gibson and Nunez as the back four. It looks like McLean and Sarah as a midfield two, Hernandez, and we'll go with Ida again, given that's where he played last weekend, with Nunez behind Pukki. The subs from Krul, Omibamidele, Marquinhos, Scholes, Sorensen, Sargent, Gibbs. So that's one change for Norwich City. Jakob Sorensen drops out, Marcelino Nunez comes in, and Josh Sargent on the bench. Paddy Davitt joins me from Carrow Road. Pad, your reaction to that team news?
Sorry, I'm distracted by Dean Ashton behind us, mate, putting on his hat. And it has me without a coat. They breed them tougher, obviously, in the Midlands. But, yeah, I think you just said to me, and I agreed, Sargent, we felt, would come back in today. So he's kind of erred a little bit on the side of caution. Why wouldn't he? You know, they've got another 3-game cycle this coming week now, starting today. So, yeah, that's the only one I'm slightly surprised about. I thought it might be Sargent would come in. I think we both felt the way he was talking, Sorensen would drop out, Sarah would drop back towards that 2 with McLean, that double pivot. Looks like he's going to go that route. And then, if that's the case, it was just who fills his slot in that 10 or more advanced attacking midfield role from Millwall. And the manager has gone with Nunez, who, if it's the Nunez of Hull,
do you get that in terms of the type of game that it could be, given that Sunderland probably feel like they're going to come here and be quite pragmatic after last weekend, to have a creator in that area?
Well, I mean, you say that, and I would think they would look at it. They would look at they're coming off here on the back of a heavy defeat, 3rd straight defeat, and Norwich look like they've picked up. So you would think automatically they would probably look to be more circumspect and try and maybe erect a couple of defensive barriers, lower block defensively. But then the way Wagner was talking, he thinks they're a side who like to get on the ball, like to dictate possession. So if that's the case, and he feels it's going to be that type of game, then why wouldn't you pack your midfield with players who that's their strongest suit? And Nunez is certainly better on the ball than off it. Zara, we know his ability on the ball as well. And McLean, underrated in terms of his passing. So if it's one of those where Wagner and his coaches are looking at it, deconstructing it, and potentially thinking this is about who can get hold of the ball and who can control the ball, and through that then control the game, then, yeah, I can see it. Allied to, as to repeat what I just said, with Sargent. You know, he's trained this week, but I think even the early part of this week, he was still looked to be doing individual fitness work. Probably quite a big call to go straight in to the starting 11 again. Particularly as you've got Ida in the mix now, you've got Onel Hernandez, you've got Marquinhos as well, Jolis. So, yeah, no, I think partly the game and what he feels might be in store, but also I think it's a little bit erring on the side of caution with Sargent, because you've got, coming up now 2 quick games away and those might better be suited, I think, to a Josh Sargent. So I'm not surprised, Connor. I mean, I'll throw that one back to you. I mean, can you see where he's going with that?
Yeah, I can. I also wouldn't have been surprised to see Josh Sargent from the off like you, but probably does feel perhaps a bit more sensible given the schedule that's ahead, to have him on the bench and introduce him into this game if need be. So, yeah, not particularly surprised. I think given kind of what we spoke about there with what Sunderland may do this afternoon and look to be a more counter-attacking outfit, it probably does suit to have a bit more of a technical presence, I suppose, in that attacking midfield as well. In terms of Sunderland, some big lines in their team news. No Amad Diallo, on loan from Manchester United, who has had a really good season, but also no Alex Pritchard in their matchday squad. He isn't even among the bench this afternoon. Patrick Roberts, former Norwich City loanee, does start for them, though. Thank you very much. They start with Patterson in goal, Hume, Ballard, Bat, 09, Neil, Mitchell, Roberts, Barr, and Clark and Gelhart up front. Their subs bench is Bass, Limange, Bennett, Gooch, Ekwa, Anderson, and Taylor. It is an interesting gamepad to kind of look ahead to, because the teams are in contrasting form. Norwich are on the back of 3 straight wins. Sunderland on the back of 3 straight defeats. They were in around the playoffs a few weeks ago. Obviously, their pushers ran out of steam a little bit. Ross Stewart, who's a very influential striker for them, dropping out, has seen them forced to probably play through the midfield a little bit more than they have done at points this season. With the optimism and levels of positivity that's here today, it does feel pretty well placed for Norwich, doesn't it, in terms of the type of game as we move into it? Although worth saying that football never quite transpires in that way.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, again, Wagner was very keen, but then he would do to kind of get past what happened against Stoke and Alex Neil last weekend at home, but also the fact that they lost the 2 previous. Might be a bit of kidology in there, but he's right in the sense that we were both there at the Stadium of Light for the reverse fixture, and that was another lunchtime kickoff, as I recall. And Norwich were very fortunate to escape with the win that day. Josh Sargent with the winner, wasn't it? That was really all about Bamidele and Hanley, particularly, and a very heroic, not a word that probably undersells how they had to defend that day. Rode their luck a little bit as well. I think Sunderland hit the woodwork a few times, but the aggression, the sort of the intent, the intensity they played with. That was Norwich were fortunate, as I say, to get anything that day. I thought they were second best, and I know it's different management now and a different vibe around this group. But given Wagner was talking about Sunderland again being a very young, energetic, intense kind of side, then if they come with that mindset, then Norwich are going to really have to work hard. And as Wagner said, park that Millwall glow, that's gone. It doesn't entitle them to anything today. They don't start, I think his words were, they don't start 3-0 up today or 2-0 up or whatever. But by the same token, to carry on where they left off in terms of the mood around the group, on the pitch, how they played, the way they won that game at Millwall, who they had to beat, how they did it, you'd be very surprised if they don't start in really confident fashion. And I just think if this is a young Sunderland group and they're making a few changes today, with young players, you do get inconsistency when they're on it. They play with a freedom. But if it goes the other way and they're losing games and they're falling behind, then it becomes harder with a younger group because they don't have the experience to ride it out. So for me, it is very much about, if Norwich start in the same vein as they left off last weekend, if they can get themselves in front, if they get this crowd up and behind them, as Wagner said, it's massively important that from minute one this crowd are behind them and the energy's there in the stands. I could see Sunderland getting swatted aside pretty comfortably, but that will hinge, I think, on how this game opens up in the first maybe 20-25 minutes. If it goes the other way and Sunderland get a bit of confidence and get a foothold in the game, then it's going to be a tough afternoon, I think. But given the prize is, I think, 5th, if they win today for Norwich, a 4th straight home win, you don't need much more incentive than that because now it's about getting in the top 6. Did that against Millwall, but then by finishing of play a day later, they've fallen out again. But at this stage, you don't really want to be playing catch-up. You want to get yourself in the top 6 and then consolidate your position, I think. And I know it's one of the commenters said, if they win, they're only 9 points behind the automatics. I still think that's a touch optimistic, but
Still a carrot. Sheffield United and Middlesbrough.
Yeah, the carrot would be there. Yeah, absolutely. So, and Blackburn in the mix as well in terms of fixtures. So, for me, though, I think let's get back in that top 6, consolidate that position, and then what you're looking to do then, if it is the playoffs, is just hit the playoffs with plenty of momentum. And to do that, they'll need to keep performing as they did at Millwall.
Yes, indeed. The PA is working, but it seems a bit crackly, which is not like a couple of weekends ago. Just to reiterate the Norwich City team news, David Wagner's made one change this afternoon. Jakob Sorensen drops out. Marcelino Nunez comes in. Jakob Sorensen among the substitutes. Josh Sargent also comes onto the bench as well. But otherwise, as you were from last weekend, one player I did want to talk about, Pad, before we kind of open the floor, and of course let us know your score predictions as well, and we'll flash a few up on the screen as before we sign off. But Adam Eder, I wanted to speak about him a little bit. Onel Hernandez got a lot of praise last weekend. He was deployed in a different role. He was out wide rather than in a central area, as has been the case over the last few weeks, but actually played quite a crucial role in moving Norwich City up the pitch in a very different way perhaps to Hernandez did. Is that viable for him to occupy that position, especially with Josh Sargent coming back? So I guess that need for him to probably try and reinvent himself is pertinent, perhaps.
Well, there's no doubt that having that in the manager's eyes, that's extra string to your bow as an attacker. You're not somebody who can only play between the whip for the 18-yard box. Then, yeah, I think if you're Adam Eder at this stage, given his injury-disrupted campaign, you play where you asked to play. And I thought he was good when the game got very stretched. Because he's got that athleticism, you can play the ball longer into him. He can fight defenders at his back, turn, and then he's got the pace to really drive at a defence. So I can see why he's retained Eder. But, you go back to what Wagner said when he first came through the door. For him, it's Eder, it's Pookie, it's Sargent, and any given week it's 2 from 3. Today, in terms of his starting 11, Pookie and Eder. But with Sargent there and fit and available now, then both of those know that if they drop their levels, then they'll be out of the team. So I think he can play that role. I've always felt he could play slightly wider. Whether he ends up as a wider attacking player as his career develops, I'm not sure. I still think he would see himself as the main point of the attack. But for now, if it's getting him into the side, then I'm sure he will fulfil the brief. But talking to Pookie, I mean, it's a big day for him as well because he's had an injury or two. He's been out of the side
since the goal now.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. Yeah, so nobody's doubting his record, obviously, and in this run, he's clocked up 200 appearances last week, in fact, and that underlines how good he has been. And we don't need to get into the reflect on TV Pookie in a Norwich shirt, but in the here and now, with Sargent now available, with Eder in the mix, you'd like to see him back on the goal trail because I think that's going to be crucial down the stretch. You're going to need your main man to come back onto the score sheet, and you can guarantee he will know that he hasn't scored for a few games, and he will be desperate to put that right as well today. So, games within games, things to look out for within games, but it would be nice to see the GOAT on the score sheet again today.
Yeah, I don't think he's scored too many at Carrow Road this season either, by all accounts. Not that I have those numbers to hand, but I'm pretty sure that's something that's popped up. See a few score predictions coming in on the live chat. Of course, you've still got time to get yours in. Mining for Cheese, excellent name, 2-1 win for Norwich. Kevin has gone for a 3-0 win, as you can see there, and Tim has gone for a 3-1, which sort of opens up to you, Pad. How do you see this afternoon going? It's an interestingly poised game, teams in contrasting form. Do you expect Norwich City to come through this one?
Yeah, I think so. I think for the reasons we've mapped out in this chat, but I will reiterate that be a bully today. Be a bully. Don't give this young Sunderland team coming here on the back of 3 defeats and most recently a 5-1 hammering. Don't give them any encouragement, any incentive. They'll have, by all accounts, 2,000 fans here, which is some effort from Wearside for a Sunday 12 o'clock kickoff. But don't give them any encouragement off the pitch, on the pitch. Basically, get your foot on the jugular, keep squeezing. If this Norwich team get ahead of steam up here, off the back of what they did at Millwall as well, very hard to see Sunderland living with them. So I would agree. I think it's a home win. 2-0, 3-1 maybe. You, Connor?
Yeah, I think I went 2-1 on the preview show. Maybe I've given Sunderland a goal there, if Adam can help. I think I might have done. I think I might have said 2-0. I'm going to go 2-1, actually. So I've stuck with a positive feeling. I think Norwich City will come through this test this afternoon and return to the top 6. Before we sign off, worth noting as well, before this game, Norwich City will be having a moment's applause for former chairman Robert Chase, who of course passed away last Friday. So that's going to be a poignant moment here at Carrow Road. Plenty on our channels to read about him and his legacy at the football club as well. So that's going to be one to look out for. And of course, we'll have all the coverage and all the analysis of this afternoon's game across our channels, Pinken.com and on the Pinken Plus app as well. Take out a free trial. Come and join me on the Matchday blog. Plenty of live debate and updates on there as the game progresses. Enjoy this afternoon, this lunchtime. Hopefully you're awake and with it very early on this Sunday morning. I just about am, to be honest. Odd kick-off time, and let's hope Norwich City can come through this and make it 4 wins on the spin. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again very